not the first person to talk about the Spider-Verse's animation, and I won't be the last. Because in 2018, Into the Spider-Verse rocked the general public's perspective of what an animated film was capable of doing. It was able to take so many different staples of what made comic books special and translate them beautifully into animation. Things like automatopoeia popping up on the screen to make it feel like a comic, or a huge range of different animation and art styles being used effectively intertwined with one another. This made Into the Spider-Verse something that was very unique and a staple of modern animation. And there's a reason sequels and sophomore films are so often disappointing, because to do something once really well is difficult, but to do it twice is incredibly difficult. So insert Across the Spider-Verse. There's been so much hype surrounding the release of this film because of the impact the first film had on its audience. And one of those people overwhelmingly excited to see it was me. So when I went and saw it on release, and I was blown away by so many different aspects of the film that worked remarkably well. Things like the acting, the writing, and music were all remarkable. But today we're going to be focusing on one specific thing. It's animation. Something that not a lot of my viewers on this channel know about me outside of making these videos is that I'm a professional musician. Nothing crazy, but a big portion of my income comes from the music I make. And one of the lessons I've learned making music over the last 8 years is that restriction can often force creativity. And ironically, one of the most freeing mediums of telling stories, which is animation, is also at times one of the most restrictive. Because while in animation you have the freedom to tell any story you'd like, you're restricted by the time-consuming, difficult, and very expensive process of animating that film. I believe this has impacted the way animation has been able to properly express itself. And part of the reason I believe that is because certain modern animation is pushing the boundaries so much on what is capable within the medium. Because the Pixar Disney style of animation, where you're trying to create a stylized hyperrealism, isn't necessarily the only way to approach it. It's art. Not to say that Pixar and Disney movies aren't art, but the way that animation can really push the limits with a variety of different styles, it's not properly being utilized. And I'm not here to imply that Across the Spider-Verse is perfect, but this movie was full of watercolor, drawn on backgrounds, pencil drawings, color effects. It explores so many different ranges of what you can do, and at times it's even a little jarring. But I'm really excited to see how the creators of Spider-Verse continue to explore this world, and also how it starts to bleed into other art. We've seen shows like Arcane innovate in their own way, and a lot of modern anime is starting to become arguably as beautiful as it's ever been. Because that's the thing, is we have no shortage of amazing art, and in some ways they inspire one another. I loved this movie, and I wish I could talk about it in more detail, but I'm purposely trying to make this video spoiler free for anyone that hasn't gone and see it yet. Go watch it. I was blown away. Don't let the hype cloud your judgment. It's not perfect, but from my point of view, it's arguably one of the best movies of the year. And if you love animation in the same way I do, it's worth it.